Hello, welcome to Indie Tutorials. My name is Guillermo and I would like to thank the patrons supporting this channel. For the visual effects, I'm going to use a package I bought years ago. This is the particle distort texture, which also comes with a free sound effects for it that matches pretty well its effects. Also, I'm going to use this feather particle system from Unlock Software that I bought years ago as well. And lastly, the system or the framework that I'm going to use to trigger and play this effect is called Feel. So I found it and I fell in love with it. I think it's a good way to replace pooling system regarding effects and audio. Also, it has a lot of modules that you can apply to, for example, Cinemachine, UI, etc. If you don't feel comfortable to buy it, you can try. There is a community free version in GitHub. I will put the links in the description of the video, so you might try it, this free version, and play with it. I think of course it has some limitations, but as a starter to test this tool and then decide if you want to buy the full version, is a good starting point. But anyways, so let's continue. I already imported those packages in the project. So what I'm going to do now is to go to my battle manager script, but first let's switch to the battle arena scene. So we have the battle manager here object, and this script is already doing too much. It's already handled the switching of the schemas, setting the correct target group to the Cinemachine target. So what I'm going to do is, instead of having this script handle the logic of switching or triggering the effects, I'm just going to make it and or use the game events that we created before, just to have it make its own. The battle manager script is already doing too much, so we are already failing in giving this script a single responsibility, because it's already handled the swapping of the schema and setting the or management of the targets. But what we want to do then is just create an event system that when we switch the schema, the battle manager script will let other systems to know that that thing happened, and the other system will decide what to do accordingly. So let's go to the battle manager script, and what we are going to do, let's go to the top of the script, and let's say over here let's create a private game event. This is our custom game event that we created in previous videos, and let's call it on schema change. Okay, so this event to let other systems know about the schema change. Okay, so when to call this event, of course, let's copy it and let's go all the way down, and this is the place, the swap schema method, so we can just, after everything else, call the invoke method. It is not, it's raise event. Yeah, there we go. So every time we swap an schema, the event will be raised, and other system listening to this event will do their work accordingly. One thing also that I want to handle in this script regarding the swapping the schema is to register to the change of active group leader to set the proper current schema when we swap the active group leader or the schema. So for that, in our start method, we can register here for the ORK game active group changed event plus equals, and let's press tab so we can leave as the name suggests as it is, and every time the group change, this event will trigger this method here, and this is the right place to put for example the current schema is going to be the group battle leader. Okay, and the same way that we are registering to this event, we need to unregister to it. So let's copy this section and scroll down here in the on destroy, we unregister. So let's click on minus equal to avoid memory leaks. There we go. So now let's go back to Unity. Let the script compile. And I forgot, actually, let's go back to the script and make this private variable serializable so we can serialize field so we can see it in the inspector. There it is. So let's create a new game event, Unity game event. So we have those in our Unity events. So let's right click, create. We have our folder game events, and let's call it on schema change. We can go back to the Battle Manager game object and assign that new event to it. So this is the event that we are going to raise when we switch the schema. And what I'm going to do now is to add a component, a field component, which is from the feedbacks asset to this game object. Click on add component and let's search for MMFeedbacks. Let it do these things. Okay, so we have the component now there. Also, we want to add our game event listener component. Let's click on the list to add one element, and let's call it on schema change. And the event is going to be listened to is going to be the same that we added before. And in the response list, let's click on plus sign and then add the MMFeedbacks component into this runtime only, and the function that we are going to be called is on the MMFeedbacks, and is the one that is called play feedbacks. Okay, I like to move this game event listener on top, move up, and let's save our changes. Now every time that we switch the schema, this event will be triggered, and then the game listener will listen to this change and will play the feedbacks that we added, that we are going to add to this object. So for that, I'm going to click on here, add new feedback, and I'm going to add audio and sound feedback. Here it is. The clip I want to select here for the sound effect is called SFX Shield. Now for the play method, I want to select the cache method, which is going to instantiate this audio clip and then store it in their own feedback pool system. And we can play with the min and maximum volume. This is just to do a random volume. So I will keep it low, down, so 0.3 and 0.3 in both. At any time you can test this audio. I think I'm not recording the audio right now, but you can click on this test play sound to have a quick look or hear the effect. So we have our first effect to play. We can add now a second one, which is of type particle system. So let's select particles and click on particles instantiation, not particles played but instantiation. Why is that? We want to instantiate the particles at the schema position, so we need to track the position of the schema, which we are doing it already in the battle manager, but we need to also have a game object that we can add to this slot here. Sorry, not this one, but in the position mode we want to set it to transform, so we track a game object, a transform game object. Okay, same thing for the particle instantiation. We want to be cache, so it will instantiate it and store it in the pool, deactivating it by default at the first instantiation. And the particle we're going to activate here, it's on the assets. Actually it's asking us for a prefab. Yeah, it's not going to be found like so. So let's find it in the project hierarchy. So this is in the particle distort folder, and we have prefabs, and I lost. Let me just click on the lock here, and this one is chronogale. So let's select that one and put it here. For the transform, let's create a empty game object in the hierarchy, and let's call it Schema Tracker, and let's put it over here, right? I will uncheck nest particles, then we can add a new particle, or just click here and copy this particle instantiation, paste as new. The next particle we are going to instantiate is the shield particle prefab. We are going to keep this schema tracker as well, and let's do this one more time. So copy, paste as new, and this time we are going to instantiate the feather prefab. So this is going to be the feather effects. So we have resources, in this case prefabs, VFX, and let's drag this one here. So this is a edited version of the one that comes with Unlock software package. I just changed the loop to not loop the effect and some other things, but it's not relevant for the mechanic. Okay, so we are already set up our effects. Now we need to do the logic about this schema tracker. So let's go back to the battle manager script and add a reference to this object as well. Okay, so let's create another serialize field. Private is going to be this, and this time is going to be a transform, and let's call it schema position tracker. And the only place we're going to use this one is down in the update schema position method here. So after we update the current schema position, we set now that the schema position tracker dot position is going to be equal to the current schema position. So let's go back now to Unity and let it compile. Now we need to assign to the battle manager game object. We have now this slot, so let's just drag the schema position tracker to it, and let's switch to the staging scene to launch the battle. So let me make a little bit of room here. So let's hit play or Control P and find Chomperino. And if we switch now schema, RB, LB, LB, RB, we attack, change targets, and everything is perfect. So on the next video I'm going to handle the enemy death. So if you remember, we set the death on minimum health, and we don't want that for the main player. So we're going to handle the death of Chomper from code as well. So keep you posted and see you on the next video.